Have you ever heard that strange clicking sound coming from the walls at night? That little chirping cry that seems to echo through the quiet hours. In Vietnam, that sound is said to be the sorrowful lament of a man who once had everything. A man named Thush, SNG. Today, let us journey back in time to discover the fascinating and cautionary tale behind this creature we call the gecko, and why its cry is believed to be a constant heartbreaking reminder of a fortune lost to pride. Our story begins long ago with a young man named Thush. SNG life for him was anything but easy. He was born into poverty, with no land, no trade, and no family fortune to speak of. Each day was a struggle for survival, a constant grind to find enough food to eat and a safe place to rest. He watched the world from the sidelines, dreaming of a life filled with comfort and security, a life that seemed impossibly far away. But as fate would have it, his life was about to change in the most unexpected way. One day, while wandering through the bustling market, Thush SNG's path crossed with a wealthy merchant. This merchant, a seasoned trader with a sharp eye for opportunity, saw a spark of ambition in the poor young man. Perhaps it was pity, or perhaps he saw potential, but the merchant offered Thush SNG a chance to join his trading ventures. For Thush Sung, this was a lifeline, a glimmer of hope in his otherwise bleak existence. He seized the opportunity with both hands, pouring all his energy and focus into learning the art of trade. He traveled with the merchant, observed his every move, and absorbed every piece of knowledge he could. And it turned out Thush Sung was a natural who was not only hardworking, but also incredibly clever. He had a knack for spotting good deals and a charisma that won over customers. Coupled with a surprising streak of good luck, his fortunes began to turn. Small profits grew into larger ones, and soon Thush SNG was no longer just an assistant. He was a successful trader in his own right. The coins in his pouch multiplied, and before long he had amassed a wealth that surpassed even his wildest dreams. The poor boy who once starved on the streets was now one of the richest men in the land. With his newfound wealth, Thush SNG's life transformed completely. The first thing he did was build a house, but this was no ordinary house. It was a magnificent palace, a testament to his staggering fortune. The pillars were inlaid with jade, the walls were adorned with precious stones, and the floors gleamed with polished marble. He filled every room with treasures from across the world, fine silks, intricate carvings, golden statues, and chests overflowing with jewels. His home became a landmark, a symbol of immense wealth that dazzled all who saw it. But the change wasn't just on the outside. The immense wealth began to change Thush SNG himself. He traded his simple clothes for robes of the finest silk, embroidered with gold thread. He no longer ate simple meals, but feasted on exotic delicacies served on plates of silver and gold. He surrounded himself with servants who catered to his every whim. The humility born from poverty was slowly replaced by an overwhelming sense of pride. He started to look down on others, especially those who were poor, forgetting that he was once one of them. In his mind, his wealth made him superior. He became arrogant, believing that no one in the entire kingdom, not even the king, could rival his riches. His palace became his fortress of pride, and he, its boastful king. Word of those S&G's incredible wealth and his even more incredible arrogance spread far and wide, eventually reaching the ears of a high-ranking official in the royal court. Intrigued and perhaps a little annoyed by the man's boasting, the official decided to pay Thash S&G a visit. He wanted to see this legendary palace and meet the man who claimed to be richer than anyone. When the official arrived, he was indeed stunned. Thash sung proudly gave him a tour, showcasing his mountains of gold, his collection of rare gems, and the luxurious furnishings of his home. He paraded his wealth with a smug smile, expecting the official to be utterly overwhelmed and admit defeat. After seeing everything, the official simply stroked his chin thoughtfully. He then turned to Thash S&G with a calm, knowing smile. "Your wealth is truly impressive, Thash S&G," he began, his voice even. "Your house is filled with treasures beyond imagination. However," and here he paused, letting the word hang in the air, "there is one simple, common thing that you do not possess. And without it, your household cannot be considered truly complete." Thash S&G's ego bristled. What could he possibly be missing? He challenged the official, "And what is that? Name it, and I will prove you wrong." The official replied calmly, "It is lime, the simple white powder used for chewing with betel nuts. A staple in every household, rich or poor, yet in all your splendor, I see none. Lime. Such a simple, cheap, and common thing." S&G felt a sting of humiliation. To be told his magnificent palace was incomplete because of something so trivial was an insult to his pride. He couldn't bear the thought of being outdone, especially by something so ordinary. His competitive nature, fueled by his arrogance, went into overdrive. He was determined to not only have lime, but to have more lime than anyone had ever seen in their life. He would show that official and the entire world that nothing was beyond his reach. Immediately, S&G dispatched his servants with bags of gold. Their orders were simple: buy every last bit of lime you can find. Go to every market, every village, every town. Pay any price. The servants fanned out across the land, and soon a steady stream of lime began to flow into Thash S&G's estate. But he didn't just want a small supply. He wanted an overwhelming amount. He ordered the lime to be stored everywhere. Giant ceramic jars were filled to the brim. Massive wooden crates were packed tight. When those were full, he had his servants pile the lime into great white mounds inside the rooms of his palace, like small hills of snow. The more lime he acquired, the more his arrogance grew. He would stand amidst the piles of white powder, laughing, "See." He would boast to anyone who would listen, who says, "I lack anything now. I have more lime than all the beetle chewers in the kingdom combined. Now, my household is truly perfect. Now, no one can ever say there is something I do not have. He felt invincible, convinced he had won the challenge and secured his place as the richest, most complete man in the world. He had turned a simple household item into another monument to his own ego. But he was blind to the danger he had so foolishly brought into his own home. Then, one fateful night, disaster struck. A small fire started in one corner of the palace. It might have been a stray spark from a candle or an ember from the kitchen hearth. Normally, it might have been contained, but this was no normal house. This house was now a giant warehouse of quicklime. As the flames grew and the intense heat reached the mounds of lime, a terrifying chemical reaction began. The lime, when exposed to the fire, started to crackle, hiss, and then violently explode. The explosions sent showers of burning embers and hot powder in every direction, spreading the fire with terrifying speed. The blaze became an unstoppable inferno. The beautiful palace, Thush Essenji as pride and joy, was engulfed in a sea of fire. The explosions tore through the walls adorned with jewels, and the flames consumed the fine silk tapestries. The golden statues melted, and the chests of treasures were burned to ash. Everything he had worked for, everything he had boasted about, was destroyed in a single catastrophic night. The very thing he had obsessively collected to prove his completeness had become the agent of his total destruction. When the sun rose the next morning, all that remained was a smoking ruin. The magnificent palace was gone. The piles of gold, the rare gems, the luxurious furniture, all of it had vanished, turned to dust and rubble. CHSNG stood amidst the wreckage, a broken man. In just one night, he had lost everything. He was poor once more, but this time it was far worse. Before, he had hope and humility. Now all he had was the crushing weight of his regret and the bitter memory of his own foolish pride. The fall from such great heights was too much for him to bear. Consumed by misery, shame, and despair, Thush Sung's spirit was shattered. He couldn't face the world he had once looked down upon. He couldn't bear the pitying looks of the people he had once scorned. Utterly heartbroken and without the will to go on, he passed away. But the story doesn't end there. Legend says that his soul, still bound to the earth by its deep regret, could not find peace. It was transformed, reincarnated into a small, humble creature, a lizard that clings to the walls of houses. And that is why, to this day, when you hear that clicking, chirping sound in the quiet of the night, people in Vietnam say it is the spirit of Thush SNG. They say he is forever crying out his tragic mistake, a mournful lament that echoes his loss. If you listen closely, the sound resembles two words in Vietnamese, Theo V, which translates to lacking lime. Lacking lime. It is a constant, sorrowful reminder from the little gecko on the wall, a ghost of a man who gained the world only to lose it all to a single, fatal flaw, pride. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into Vietnamese folklore. It's a powerful story about how pride can lead to our downfall, isn't it? If you enjoyed this tale, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more stories from around the world. We'd love to have you in our community. Until next time, stay curious.